What if death isn't the end? What if instead it's the beginning of a journey far more profound than anything we can imagine? Across centuries and cultures, countless individuals have returned from the brink of death with stories so vivid, so inexplicable, that they challenge everything we think we know about life and the afterlife. These experiences, commonly known as near-death experiences or NDEs, paint a picture of something extraordinary, a tunnel of light pulling them forward, a deep, unshakable sense of peace, the feeling of leaving their physical body behind, yet being more alive than ever. Encounters with departed loved ones or beings of light that radiate pure love. How can these stories, told by people from every corner of the world, be so strikingly similar? Are these visions the product of a mind in crisis, clinging to its final moments? Or are they glimpses of a reality far beyond our comprehension, hints of what truly awaits us when our time here ends? In this video, we'll delve into the words of those who have been to the edge and back, exploring the profound lessons their journeys offer us. What can we learn from those who've walked the line between life and death? And could their stories hold the answers to life's greatest mystery? Stay with us as we unravel the truth behind these extraordinary encounters. Near-death experiences, NDEs, are a phenomenon that has fascinated humanity for centuries. They occur when a person is declared clinically dead, heart stopped, brain function ceased, and yet, against all odds, they revive, often with vivid memories of the journey they undertook during that time. But what exactly happens during these moments that seem to blur the line between life and death? In the midst of death, many who have experienced NDEs report a series of strikingly similar elements, regardless of their cultural or personal background. One of the most common sensations is the feeling of being drawn into a tunnel. This tunnel, often described as a passage of light, pulls them away from their body and toward an overwhelming brightness that seems to encompass everything. Some describe this light as warm, inviting, and full of unconditional love, a place of pure serenity that feels more home than anywhere on earth. They're not merely seeing light, they are immersed in it, feeling it in their very essence. Many speak of a sense of merging with the universe, as though they are becoming one with all existence. This feeling isn't just a fleeting moment of serenity, but a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. This connection is often described as more real and lasting than anything on earth, as if they've touched the very core of existence itself. Along with the light, there is often a profound sense of peace that washes over them. It's a peace so deep and absolute, it erases all fear, all pain, and all worry. Time seems to stand still, and they feel utterly at peace with the universe. Some describe this as a sense of merging with the very fabric of existence. But it's not just the light and peace that people recall. Many describe reuniting with loved ones, those who have passed on before them. They encounter family members, friends, even strangers who seem to be waiting for them, offering comfort and reassurance. These encounters often provide a deep sense of connection, one that transcends physical death. Some NDEs even report being greeted by spiritual beings, often described as figures of light or guides, who seem to show them something greater than themselves. Those who return from an NDE often speak of a profound transformation in their perception of life. They stop seeing existence as something guaranteed and begin to view each moment as a precious gift. After the experience, these individuals often report a deep sense of gratitude for the simple things in life. A walk in nature, a smile, a conversation with a loved one. These small things become invaluable. It's no longer about chasing more possessions or status, but about cherishing everyday human experiences. The miracle of being alive is something that is often only recognized when death feels imminent. Upon returning, many of these people shift how they approach their priorities. What once seemed urgent often loses its significance. Money, professional success, material possessions, all of these things begin to be seen in a new light. What truly matters after facing death so closely are human connections and how we live our lives in relation to others. For many, this experience brings to the forefront the importance of personal relationships. What used to seem like distractions or obligations becomes a source of deep meaning. Family, friends, and the love we share with others rise to the top of the priority list. It's no longer about accumulating wealth or achieving success at all costs. It's about living authentically and nurturing the connections that enrich our souls. Those who have experienced a near-death encounter often report a renewed sense of purpose. They come to understand that life isn't just about existing. It's about living with intention and passion. Whether it's pursuing a calling, helping others, or simply being present for loved ones, they recognize the importance of living fully in the moment, aware that every breath is a gift. This awareness changes the way they approach life. They become more focused on what truly fulfills them, and less concerned with the distractions that once seemed so important. They often encourage others to reflect on what they value most, reminding us all of the fragility of life and the beauty of living with purpose. This shift in perception allows them to challenge old patterns of behavior and take on new opportunities they might have once been too afraid to explore. Whether it's pursuing a new career, starting a new relationship, or simply embracing a new hobby, the barriers of self-doubt and fear of failure seem far less daunting. What's more, these individuals no longer tie their self-worth to external measures of success. Instead, they find peace in their own inherent value and in the knowledge that they're worthy of love, joy, and fulfillment just as they are. Many survivors describe feeling a newfound freedom to explore who they really are, untethered from the expectations they once felt bound to. They recognize that their true self is not defined by a job title, educational achievements, or social status. Instead, it's defined by the courage to live authentically and the willingness to break free from the confines they had placed upon themselves. For many who have had a near-death experience, fear of failure becomes a distant memory. When death no longer feels like an abstract concept, but something that has touched their lives personally, the urgency to live fully and without hesitation takes center stage. They understand now that life is not about avoiding mistakes or adhering to an ideal version of themselves. It's about embracing the journey, with all its twists, turns, and imperfections. The freedom that comes from releasing the need for validation and approval from others is often profound. Survivors report a sense of liberation in being able to pursue what truly matters to them, without worrying about how others will perceive them. This newfound courage empowers them to act boldly, pursue their passions, and step outside of their comfort zones. In the face of death, they have learned that it's not the fear of failure that defines them. It is their ability to rise, learn, and grow from their experiences. For most people, death is a subject of deep fear and anxiety. We tend to avoid thinking about it, pushing it to the back of our minds and distracting ourselves with the busy rhythms of everyday life. The thought of our own mortality is something we try to sidestep because it reminds us of the unknown, the uncontrollable nature of life, and the certainty that one day it will all end. But for those who have experienced a near-death experience, NDE, death is no longer the terrifying abstract concept it once was. Instead, it becomes something far less ominous. These survivors often speak of a profound shift in their perception of death. While their NDE might have been accompanied by fear or pain at first, many recount moments during the experience that filled them with a peace and serenity they had never known before. This peace was so overwhelming that it outweighed any fears or anxieties they had about dying. In the face of death, many NDE survivors describe a sense of calm that washes over them. This peace is often described as otherworldly, not a passive or resigned feeling, but a deep, comforting serenity. Some speak of being enveloped in a bright, loving light that gives them a sense of unconditional acceptance, like they're returning to a place of origin or home. In these moments, the idea of death seems to dissolve, replaced by a sense of oneness with the universe and a deep connection to everything. For these individuals, the fear that once governed their thoughts and decisions fades away. They no longer see death as something to be avoided or feared, but as a natural process, just another stage in the cycle of life. This new understanding of death allows them to live more freely. Death is no longer a looming shadow on the horizon. Instead, it becomes a part of the flow of existence, something to be accepted and embraced, not feared. For many NDE survivors, the encounter with death ignites a profound spiritual awakening. It's as if the experience peels back the layers of daily life and reveals a deeper, unseen reality. For some, this manifests in a sudden and unexpected shift in their beliefs. A person who may have been skeptical or uninterested in spirituality may suddenly feel a deep connection to a higher power, a sense of divine presence, or an overwhelming urge to explore different spiritual practices. This shift can be startling, even shocking to those around them, especially if they were previously agnostic or atheistic. After a near-death experience, survivors often feel a new sense of clarity regarding spiritual matters. The experience might not have been just about a physical survival, but a spiritual rebirth. For many, the encounter with death brings them face to face with what feels like the divine, whether that be God, a universal energy, or some higher force guiding them. Atheists may find themselves suddenly believing in a higher power, while agnostics may develop a newfound sense of connection to something greater than themselves. Even those who were already religious might undergo a transformation in how they perceive their faith. It's no longer just a ritual, but a deep, personal relationship with something sacred. These individuals may feel a stronger call to practice their faith, perhaps by praying more, meditating, or attending religious services. Their newfound belief may even lead them to explore spiritual paths they had never considered before. For many survivors, spirituality becomes a central part of their lives after an NDE. It's as if their brush with death opened their eyes to the spiritual dimensions of existence. In the wake of their experience, they often develop new habits that help nurture this deeper connection to the divine. They may find themselves praying more often, spending time in nature, meditating, or simply reflecting on life in a more mindful and conscious way. Some survivors turn to different religions or spiritual practices in search of greater meaning. Where once they might have dismissed these paths, they now feel a deep resonance with their teachings. What may have seemed irrelevant or abstract before now feels like essential guidance. It's common to see individuals seek out spiritual communities, engage in practices like yoga or mindfulness, or explore the wisdom of ancient traditions and philosophies that they once ignored. When death feels imminent, the trivialities of life seem insignificant. In this moment, many survivors come to realize that time is fleeting, and they begin to rethink their priorities. One of the most striking transformations that occur after an NDE is the move toward greater authenticity. In our everyday lives, we often play roles, both for ourselves and others. We wear masks to fit in, to please others, or to protect ourselves from vulnerability. But when we are faced with the fragility of life, these masks begin to feel unnecessary. There's no longer room for pretense, and the importance of being true to oneself becomes undeniable. Many NDE survivors report that they no longer feel the need to keep up appearances. The small annoyances or ego-driven motivations that once consumed them now seem trivial. They begin to let go of feelings like pride and anger that were once barriers to genuine connection and fulfillment. Instead, they embrace vulnerability, honesty, and openness, qualities that allow them to live more authentically and without the weight of unimportant social constructs. In the face of mortality, the pressure to conform or to please others can feel incredibly distant. Survivors often find themselves no longer willing to waste time on things that don't serve them or bring them joy. They may give up toxic relationships, unhealthy jobs, or pursuits that no longer align with their true values. Even if these things have been a part of their lives for years, sometimes even decades, they now recognize that they no longer have to endure them for the sake of obligation or fear. As we've explored, near-death experiences, NDEs, are not just a glimpse into the unknown. They are transformative moments that leave an indelible mark on those who experience them. From recognizing the value of our existence, to shedding the limitations of self-imposed labels, to dissolving the fear of death itself, these experiences offer profound insights into what it truly means to live. If there's one thing we can learn from those who face the brink of death, it's this: life is precious. It's a gift, and we have the power to choose how we spend it. The fear of death may never completely disappear, but the understanding that it is a part of life can set us free from its grip, allowing us to live with more love, peace, and authenticity. As we move forward, we can carry with us the wisdom of those who've gone through their own near-death journeys. Their stories remind us that the real magic of life lies in our ability to connect, to love deeply, and to live true to who we really are. So let's not wait for a brush with death to begin living our most authentic lives. Let's embrace the present, shed the masks we wear, and make every moment count.